Introducing our first speaker of the evening, Chris Arcucci.
Thank you. What an amazing welcome. Thank you all for being here. I'm Chris Arcucci, the founder of Mindful Living Arts, and I believe that love is the most powerful healing force on the planet. And I've come to believe that love is so powerful, not because I've lived a fairy tale life. I've come to believe this about love because of struggle and heartache and heartbreak. I've come to recognize the opportunity to choose to open to love and the music playing. So in each moment, we have the opportunity to choose to open, to receive love and life, or we get the opportunity to also close and to protect ourselves and to build mechanisms that keep us from connecting with other people. I'd love to share my story with you of how I've come to believe this about love, that it's so powerful. When I was 2 years old, my grandfather died. And at that point, I didn't really know what love was. I knew it felt good to be around my grandfather. So after he died, I'd get on my phone and call him and ask him to come home, my pretend phone. My grandmother loves to tell that story. And then after a week or so, I stopped asking. And I started saying, "Grandpa, it's time to come home now." Because a part of me knew how I felt when I was with him. A part of me knew that that was love. When I was 13 years old, my mother remarried a man that I neither liked nor trusted. I didn't feel good around him. So I went to her and expressed my concerns about how he spoke to me and how I felt around him. And she acted as if I hadn't said anything to her. It was almost like she didn't even acknowledge what I had said and what my experience was. So I went to my father and told him. Luckily, he welcomed me into his home with open arms. He said, "Come and live with me." So I did. And when I made that choice, my mother chose to disown me. She told me I was no longer her daughter. As a girl, on the threshold of becoming a young woman, the primary feminine role model in my life cast me out of her family. At that point, I knew it hurt. I knew that my heart was broken and that I was so confused by this experience. At that point, I started practicing yoga and meditation and dove deeply into my own healing journey. And as I was a teenager, luckily my older sister was an incredible role model for me. She was creative and dynamic and beautiful and free-spirited. So I looked up to her, and she nurtured me into becoming a woman. When I was 22, I was living in the mountains near Yosemite. And I got a call in the middle of the night from my father. And at that point, I was working 2 jobs and running a business. So when he phoned in the middle of the night, I wasn't quite aware of what he was saying to me. Until he said, "Kimberly's in the hospital and she's not going to make it." And at that point, life and air was sucked out of me. I couldn't breathe. My heart was broken so deeply. that I couldn't even breathe. I couldn't imagine life without my sister. The next day, I got onto an airplane to Chicago to be by her side. And in the hospital, I watched her breathe. I listened to the monitor with her heart beating. And I felt love coursing through me. I felt life coursing through me. And I also knew that her life was ending. And as we took her off life support, my family and I stood around her bed. We invited a great healer to be by our side, to support us all in the transition. And I reached out my hand to touch her heart. And the other hand I brought to my own heart. And I felt her heart beating in her chest. I felt her chest rise and fall with life. And I sent love from my heart into hers. At the same moment, my heart was breaking. It was breaking so deeply that I didn't know what was real. I couldn't even fathom what was happening. And as her heart beat for the last time, and as she took her last breath, I chose to recognize that love never dies. Love transforms. And I could choose to keep loving her, to open to loving her and her life, even in her passing. As you can imagine, even in wanting to open to love, I went through enormous grief and heartache in losing her. A little over 2 years later, my father wasn't doing so well. His heart wasn't really healthy, and all of us had had such a hard time with my sister's loss. So I received another call that my father had died of a heart attack. At this point, I got back on the phone with Love, and I said, "Look, this is a bit much for one girl to handle. Really, I mean, I love life, and yet you keep taking the people that I love most, the people that help me to feel and experience love." And a voice inside my head said, life is about loving. Life is loving. Even in the tragedy and the ecstasy that we experience as humans, we can be open and say yes to love, or we can close and stop experiencing love and life. And even in the passing of my father, even as hard as it was, I knew in my own heart that I personally had no choice but to open and to experience love in all its forms, the ecstasy and the tragedy of being human. About 2.5 years ago, my younger sister was pregnant with twins. 11 weeks before they were due, she gave birth to them, which was highly dangerous, and we thought we would lose them. So yet again, I was invited to choose to love them so fully and deeply for however long they stayed with us, or to not love them because I might lose them. And to me, there was no question that I would say yes to love and yes to their life, even if it was only a short time. So again, I flew to Chicago, and my sister gave me the incredible gift of allowing me to hold them at my heart center, skin to skin, Brendan and Sophie. And it was such a gift to feel them literally in my heart center. And all I could say was yes to love and yes to life. Because it is the reason we're here. It is the gift we have to give. In every day and in every way, say yes to love. Love is your breath. Love is your movement. Love is who you are in the world. Love is your being and your presence. So I invite you all, in the chaos, in the bliss that we experience as humans, to say yes to love and yes to life.